my brand new series where I talk about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 1. And today we are headed to the smallest country in the world, the Catholic capital of the world, Vatican City. As well as being the smallest country in the world at just 0.19 square miles or 0.44 square kilometers, it is also the least populated with just over 800 people. But it more than makes up with that with the amount of people visiting it, with about 6.9 million people visiting it in 2022. As well as all that, Vatican City is also home to the Pope, the religious leader of the world. He also has jurisdiction over the universal church in matters of faith and morals, as well as church discipline and governing. He resides in the Basilica of St. Peter, who was the first pope, or you could also call it the Vatican Palace. And tomorrow we will be heading over to the French Riviera for our next country. And subscribe so you don't miss day 2. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 2. And today we are heading over to Monaco, land of wealth, racing, and seafood stew. It is the second smallest country in the world with only 0.80 square miles or 2.8 square kilometers. It has a population of about 40,000 people and has the highest GDP per capita in the world. Monaco is a unitary parliamentary semi-constitutional monarchy, being ruled by Prince Albert II, born on March 14th, 1958. And he's been the ruler ever since he took on the throne in 2005. Their official language is French, and for their currency they use the euro. And tomorrow we'll be heading out all the way out to the Pacific Ocean for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss day 3. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 3. And today we are headed to the small island nation of Nauru. It is the smallest single island nation with only 8.1 square miles or 21 square kilometers and a population of roughly 11,000 people. But by far the most exciting part about Nauru is its rich history. During the 1900s, Nauru became economically reliant on mining phosphate, a mineral which is great for fertilizer. But after all the phosphate was depleted from the island, so was all the usable farmland, which left Nauru with no further developing agriculture industry. And that left the people of Nauru poor, unemployed, and completely reliant on food exports from other countries. And those exports were mainly cheap, fatty foods, which led to Nauru having the highest obesity rate in the world. Their official language is Nauruan and their currency is the Australian dollar. And tomorrow we'll be heading over to another island for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss day 4. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 4. And today we are headed to the small spread out island nation of Tuvalu. It is the 4th smallest country in the world with only 10 square miles or 26 square kilometers. Tuvalu is actually the first country in our series with an actual capital, which is Funafuti, home to over 6,000 people, which is over half of Tuvalu's total inhabitants. Tuvalu is a unitary, non-partisan, parliamentary constitutional monarchy, which means that Tuvalu, while being its own independent country with its own laws and government, but since it was once part of the British Empire, they recognized their official monarch to be King Charles III of England. And sadly, because of climate change, Tuvalu is slowly disappearing, and will completely disappear by the year 2050. And tomorrow we'll be heading back to Europe for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss day 5. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 5. And today we're headed to the small, singly landlocked, mountainous country of San Marino. It is the 5th smallest country in the world, with 23.6 square miles or 61.2 square kilometers. It has a population of about 34,000 people, and it's the oldest established constitutional republic in the world, gaining freedom from the Roman Empire in 301 AD. San Marino is a unitary parliamentary diarchic directorial republic, being ruled by the captains regent Alessandro Scarano and Adele Tanini. And both of them have been in office since April of 2023. Their official language is Italian, and for their currency they use the euro. And tomorrow we'll be headed to the foot of Germany for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss day 6. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 6. And today we're headed to the small country which has much bigger amounts of pride, Liechtenstein. Not to be confused with Liechtenstein province in Germany, Liechtenstein is the 6th smallest country in the world, with 62 square miles or 160 square kilometers. It has a population of 38,000 people and at one point tried to purchase Alaska from the Russian Empire. It also has one of the largest GDP per capita in the world, just behind Luxembourg and Monaco. Liechtenstein is a unitary parliamentary semi-constitutional monarchy, being ruled by Prince Hans Adam II, born on February 14, 1945. And he's been on the throne ever since November of 1989. Their official language is French, and for their currency they use the Swiss franc. And tomorrow we'll be heading back out to the Pacific Ocean for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss day 7. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 7. And today we're headed to yet another island nation, which is Marshall Islands. It is the 7th smallest country in the world, with 70.05 square miles, or 181.43 square kilometers. It has a population of 62,000 people, and it's where the United States held its Operation Crossroads, which was a series of atmospheric nuclear weapons tests that led to the detonation of humanity's most powerful weapon during Castle Bravo, the hydrogen bomb. Marshall Islands is a unitary parliamentary executive presidency republic, led by President David Kabua, who was born on May 26, 1951. He resides in the capital of the nation, Majuro, where he's been in office ever since January of 2020. Their official languages are Marshallese and English, and for the currency they use the US dollar. And tomorrow we're headed over to the Caribbean Sea for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss day 8. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 8. And today we are headed to the small dual island nation of St. Kitts and Nevis. It is the 8th smallest country in the world, with 101 square miles, or 261 square kilometers. It has a population of about 54,000 people, and it was the first English colony in the Caribbean region. And at one point, St. Kitts and Nevis became the biggest producer of sugar in the entire West Indies. It is also the first country with a volcano in our series, which is Liamuiga. Although being dormant, it lays the foundation for the two islands and provides great agricultural land. St. Kitts and Nevis is a federal parliamentary constitutional monarchy, being ruled by King Charles III of England. Their capital city is Basseterre, their official language is English, and for their currency they use the East Caribbean dollar. And tomorrow we'll be heading over to the Indian Ocean for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss day 9. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 9. And today we're headed to yet another small island nation, which is the Maldives. It is the 9th smallest country in the world, with 120 square miles, or 300 square kilometers. It has a population of almost 522,000 people, and it's the flattest country in the world. The Maldives' distinct pure white sand, crystal clear waters, and beautiful villas, such as this one, which is literally underwater.
Honestly, fish tastes better underwater.
Makes it a great vacation place, which brings the Maldives most of its income. The Maldives is a unitary presidential constitutional republic, being led by President Ibrahim Mohammed Solih, being born on March 1st, 1962. And he's been in office ever since November of 2018. Their capital city is Malé, their official languages are English and Divian, and for their currency they use the Maldivian rupiah and US dollar. And tomorrow we'll be heading over to the Mediterranean Sea for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss day 10. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 10. And today we're headed to another small island nation, Malta. It is the 10th smallest country in the world, with 122 square miles, or 316 square kilometers. It has a population of 520,000 people, and it has one of the oldest universities in the Commonwealth. If you've ever visited Malta and went to a church, you may have noticed that it has 2 giant clocks. One with the correct time and one with the wrong time. The reason for this is so the devil gets confused and doesn't disturb the mass. Malta is a unitary parliamentary presidential republic, being led by President George Vella, being born on April 24th, 1942, and he's been in office ever since April of 2019. Their capital city is Valletta, their official languages are Malta and English, and for their currency they use the euro. And tomorrow we'll be heading back to the Caribbean Sea for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss day 11. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 11. And today we're headed to the small type of nation which has appeared way too many times in the series, Grenada. It is the 11th smallest country in the world with 134.6 square miles or 348.5 square kilometers. It has a population of 125,000 people, and it's the largest producer of spice in the Caribbean, being the second largest in the entire world. And it produces 40% of the entire world's yearly spice. It also has the world's first underwater sculpture park. Procured in 2006, it has over 70 human sculptures 16 feet underwater. Grenada is a unitary parliamentary constitutional monarchy, being ruled by King Charles III of England. Their capital city is St. George's, their official language is English, and for their currency they use the East Caribbean dollar. And tomorrow we'll be traveling just over 2,000 feet for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss day 12. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 12. And today we are headed to yet another small island nation, which is St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It is the 12th smallest country in the world with 150 square miles or 389 square kilometers. It has a population of about 111,000 people, and it has the oldest botanical garden in the Western Hemisphere. It is also the first country in our series with an actual active volcano, which is Mount Soufriere, last erupting in December of 2020. St. Vincent and the Grenadines is a unitary parliamentary constitutional monarchy, being ruled by King Charles III of England. Their capital city is Kingstown, their official language is English, and for their currency they use the East Caribbean dollar. And tomorrow we'll be traveling about 100 miles east to our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss day 13. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 13. And today we're headed to a small island nation, which is Barbados. It is the 13th smallest country in the world with 169 square miles or 439 square kilometers. It has a population of about 280,000 people, and it was actually named after a tree. And that's because when Portuguese sailors first found the island in 1536, they found thousands of bearded fig trees. So they named the island Los Barbados, which is Portuguese for the bearded one. Barbados is a unitary parliamentary republic, being led by President Sandra Mason, born on January 17, 1949. And she's been in office ever since November of 2021. Their capital city is Bridgetown, their official language is English, and for their currency they use the Barbadian dollar. And tomorrow we'll be heading just 300 miles north for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss day 14. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 14. And today we are headed to a small island nation, which is Antigua and Barbuda. It is the 14th smallest country in the world with 170 square miles or 440 square kilometers. It has a population of about 100,000 people, and its highest point is a mountain named Mount Obama after the United States President Barack Obama. It is also known as the land of 365 beaches, having one for each day of the year. It is also one of the few islands to be discovered and explored by none other than the man himself, Christopher Columbus. Antigua and Barbuda is a unitary parliamentary constitutional monarchy, being ruled by King Charles III of England. Their capital city is St. John's, their official language is English, and for their currency they use the East Caribbean dollar. And tomorrow we'll be headed to the tip of Madagascar for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss day 15. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 15. And today we're headed to a slightly larger island nation, which is Seychelles. It is the 15th smallest country in the world with 176 square miles or 457 square kilometers. It has a population of about 100,000 people, and it is one of the few countries in the world with no indigenous people. It is also home to the world's longest living land animal, which is Johnson the giant tortoise, reaching an impressive age of 190 years old. Seychelles is a unitary presidential republic, being led by President Wavel Ramkalawan. Born on March 15, 1962, he's been in office ever since October of 2020. Their capital city is Victoria, their official languages are English, French, Seychellois, and Creole, and for their currency they use the Seychellois rupee. And tomorrow we'll be heading back out to the Pacific Ocean for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss day 16. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 16. And today we are headed to the small island nation of Palau. It is the 16th smallest country in the world with 177 square miles or 459 square kilometers. It has a population of only 18,000 people, and it is one of the few countries in the world to have jellyfish lakes. It is basically a lake full to the brim of golden jellyfish, which can only be found here. And since their stinger pores are so small, it is actually possible for humans to swim amongst them and not get stung. Palau is a federal presidency republic, being led by President Serangal Whips Jr. Born on August 9th, 1968, he's been in office ever since January of 2021. Their capital city is Negurulmid, their official languages are Palauan and English, and for their currency they use the US dollar. And tomorrow we'll be headed to the Iberian Peninsula for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss day 17. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 17. And today we're headed to the small, not island nation, but a landlocked nation, which is Andorra. It is the 17th smallest country in the world, with 180 square miles, or 467 square kilometers. It has a population of about 80,000 people, and it is the only country in the world with a certain official language. As well as that, Andorra also has the highest tourists per capita in the world, which comes as no surprise when you look at its great skiing slopes, beautiful scenery, and rich history. Andorra is a unitary parliamentary constitutional semi-theocratic elective diarchy, being ruled by Archbishop Johan Enric Vives, in office since May of 2003, and led by President Emmanuel Macron, who's been in office ever since May of 2017. Their capital city is Andorra la Vella, their official language is Catalan, and for their currency they use the euro. And tomorrow we'll be heading back to the Caribbean Sea for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss day 18. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 18. And today we're headed to the small island nation of St. Lucia. It is the 18th smallest country in the world with 238 square miles or 617 square kilometers. It has a population of about 180,000 people, and it has the world's only drive-in volcano, which is Sulphur Springs, where you can walk by sulfuric ponds while enjoying the beauty of this volcanic crater. But if you ever go there and you're worried that it will erupt, don't worry, it's been dormant since the 1700s. St. Lucia is a unitary parliamentary constitutional monarchy, being ruled by King Charles III of England. Their capital city is Castries, their official language is English, and for their currency they use the East Caribbean dollar. And tomorrow we'll be going over to the Pacific Ocean for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss day 19. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 19. And today we are headed to a small island nation, which is Micronesia. It is the 19th smallest country in the world, with 271 square miles, or 702 square kilometers. It has a population of about 105,000 people, and it is home to the largest currency in the world, which is Rai, which is most commonly found in the Yap Islands of Micronesia. They were basically stone currency, the oldest ones being made about 2,000 years ago, and the most recent being made about 100. And they can range in size anywhere between 12 feet to 1 inch, and they are still used today for major transactions. Micronesia is a Federal Assembly independent republic, being led by President Wesley Samina, born on September 10th, 1961, and he's been in office ever since May of 2023. Their capital city is Palikir, their official language is English, and for their currency they use the US dollar. And tomorrow we'll be heading to the Malay Peninsula for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss day 20. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 20. And today we're headed to the beautiful island country of Singapore. It is the 20th smallest country in the world with 283 square miles or 734 square kilometers. It has a population of about 5 million people, and it is the world's first night zoo, exclusively having nocturnal animals and only open at night. It also has the longest infinity pool in the world, being located at the Marina Bay Sands Hotel 600 feet in the air. It is also home to Changi Airport, including a movie theater, a giant shopping mall, and a huge rainforest. It's no wonder that this is the best airport in the world. And it's also illegal to chew gum. Singapore is a unitary dominant party parliamentary republic, being led by President Tharman Shanmugaratnam, born on February 25th, 1957. He's been in office ever since September of 2023. Their official languages are English and Singlish, and for their currency they use the Singapore dollar. And tomorrow we'll be heading to the Pacific Ocean for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss day 21. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 21. And today we're headed to the oceanic country of Tonga. It is the 21st smallest country in the world with 289 square miles or 748 square kilometers. It has a population of about 100,000 people, and it's the only country in the Pacific to never be formally colonized. But of course, people have been living there for over 2,000 years, but it has never been permanently colonized by any major power. And if you like whale watching, then Tonga is the place for you, being home to thousands of humpback whales during the summer months. Tonga is a unitary parliamentary semi-constitutional monarchy, being ruled by King Topu VI. Being born on July 12, 1959, he's been in office ever since July of 2015. Their capital city is Nuku'alofa. Their official languages are Tongan and English, and for their currency they use the paanga. And tomorrow we'll be heading to the Caribbean Sea for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss Day 22. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 22. And today we're headed to the Lesser Antilles Caribbean island nation of Dominica. It is the 22nd smallest country in the world with 290 square miles or 750 square kilometers. It has a population of about 72,000 people, and it is the highest centurion count per capita in the world, with 22 people over 100 years old currently alive, which comes as almost no surprise as Dominica has one of the highest life expectancies in the world, being 81 years old for women and 75 for men. It also happens to be the country where two Pirates of the Caribbean movies were filmed. Dominica is a unitary dominant party parliamentary republic, being led by President Charles Savarin. Born on October 2nd, 1943, he's been in office ever since October of 2013. Their capital city is Roseau, their official language is English, and for their currency they use the East Caribbean dollar. And tomorrow we'll be heading to the Persian Gulf for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss Day 23. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 23. And today we're headed to the Arabian island nation of Bahrain. It is the 23rd smallest country in the world with 303 square miles or 786 square kilometers. It has a population of about 1.5 million people, and it is home to the longest living tree without any known source of water. The tree of life is an acacia tree planted sometime during the 16th century. With little to no rain in the South Bahrain region or underground source, this tree still puzzles scientists to this day. As well as that, it also hosted the Middle East's first Grand Prix, taking place in 2004. Bahrain is a unitary Islamic parliamentary semi-constitutional monarchy, being ruled by King Ahmad bin Isa Al Khalifa. Born on January 28, 1950, he's been on the throne ever since February 2002. Their capital city is Manama, their official language is Arabic, and for their currency they use the Bahraini dollar. And tomorrow we'll be heading to the Pacific Ocean for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss Day 24. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 23. And today we're headed to the very spread out oceanic island nation of Kiribati. It is the 23rd smallest country in the world with 313 square miles or 811 square kilometers. It has a population of about 122,000 people, and it is the only country in the world to be located in all four hemispheres. Being so spread out, it covers both the northern and the southern hemispheres of the equator and the eastern and western hemispheres of the prime meridian. It also has the earliest time zone in the world, being the first country to see the rising sun. Kiribati is a unitary executive presidency parliamentary republic, being led by President Taneti Mahamau. Born on September 16, 1960, he's been in office ever since March of 2016. Their capital city is South Tarawa, their official languages are English and Gibraltese, and for their currency they use the Australian dollar. And tomorrow we'll be heading to the Gulf of Guinea for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss Day 24. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 25. And today we're headed to the dual island African island nation of Sao Tome and Principe. It is the 25th smallest country in the world with 372 square miles or 964 square kilometers. It has a population of about 220,000 people, and during the early 20th century it became the world's largest producer of cacao beans, an essential ingredient in chocolate. But since the discovery of illegal slavery on the cacao producers' plantations, the production of cacao pods has been banned. But the ban has since been lifted, and it has had a growing cacao industry ever since. Sao Tome and Principe is a unitary semi-presidential republic, being led by President Carlos Villanova. Born on July 27, 1959, he's been in office ever since October of 2021. Their capital city is Sao Tome, their official language is Portuguese, and for their currency they use the Dobra. And tomorrow we'll be heading to the coast of Tanzania for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss Day 26. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 26. And today we're headed to the triple island African island nation of Comoros. It is the 26th smallest country in the world, with 641 square miles, or 1,660 square kilometers. It has a population of about 864,000 people, and it is also known as the Perfume Islands, which is no surprise, it is the world's largest producer of the Lang Lang flower, being used in expensive perfumes that has a similar smell to jasmine. Despite this, Comoros is one of the poorest countries in the world, having a very low GDP per capita of only $900. Comoros is a federal presidential republic, being led by President Azali Assoumani. Born on January 1st, 1959, he's been in office ever since April of 2019. Their capital city is Moroni, their official languages are Comorian, French, and Arabic, and for their currency they use the Comorian franc. And tomorrow we'll be heading 1,000 miles east for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss day 27. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 27. And today we're headed to the Indian Ocean African island nation of Mauritius. It is the 27th smallest country in the world, with 790 square miles, or 2,050 square kilometers. It has a population of about 1.3 million people, and it is the only known home of the dodo bird. The dodo bird was a unique flightless species of bird only found on Mauritius. The average dodo weighing in over 20 kilos and over 3 feet high. But sadly, during the 17th century, when French explorers came to the island, they brought intense deforestation, hunting, and foreign animals that destroyed the dodo's nests. And now they're all extinct. Mauritius is a unitary parliamentary republic, being led by President Prithviraj Singh Rupin. Born on May 24th, 1959, he's been in office ever since December of 2019. Their capital city is Port Louis, and for the currency they use the Mauritian rupee. And tomorrow we'll be heading to the foot of Belgium for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss day 20. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 28. And today we're headed to the small, rich European country of Luxembourg. It is the 28th smallest country in the world, with 999 square miles, or 2,590 square kilometers. It has a population of about 660,000 people, making it having the smallest population in the EU, and it has the second highest GDP per capita in the world, just behind Monaco, but in front of Liechtenstein. And most of this money came from the steel industry and financing taxes. Luxembourg is a unitary parliamentary constitutional monarchy, being ruled by Grand Duke Henri. Born on April 15, 1955, he's been on the throne ever since October of 2000. Their capital city is Luxembourg City, their official languages are Luxembourgish, French, and German, and for their currency they use the euro. And tomorrow we'll be heading to the middle of the Pacific Ocean for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss day 29. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 29. And today we're headed to the not-American version Pacific Island nation of Samoa. It is the 29th smallest country in the world, with 1,093 square miles, or 2,830 square kilometers. It has a population of about 225,000 people, and its only physical divider with the American Samoa is the international date line. So if you're an American Samoan and want to fly to Samoa, you would be traveling 24 technical hours in the future. Samoa is a unitary parliamentary republic, being led by Oe'ao Olemala Tuamilio Fano Alatoa Sualavi. Born on April 29, 1947, he's been in office ever since July of 2017. Their capital city is Apia, their official languages are Samoan and English, and for their currency they use the tala. And tomorrow we'll be heading to the coast of Morocco for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss day 30. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 31. And today we're headed to the Lower Antilles, South American island nation of Trinidad and Tobago. It is the 31st smallest country in the world with 1,980 square miles or 5,130 square kilometers. It has a population of about 1.4 million people, and it is one of the world's largest producers of asphalt. Home to Pitch Lake, which is considered the world's largest natural asphalt deposit. And then ironically, it's home to the world's largest roundabout, having a size of about 2.7 miles. It is also home to the world's largest brain coral, having an absolutely massive size of 20 feet. Trinidad and Tobago is a unitary parliamentary republic, being led by President Christine Kangaloo. Born on December 1st, 1961, she's been in office ever since March of 2023. Their capital city is Port of Spain, their official language is English, and for their currency they use the Trinidad and Tobago dollar. And tomorrow we'll be heading to the tip of Borneo for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss day 32. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 32. And today we're headed to the Bornean coastal Asian nation of Brunei. It is the 37th smallest country in the world with 2,225 square miles or 5,765 square kilometers. It has a population of about 455,000 people, and it has the 11th highest GDP per capita in the world. And this is mostly because of the country's rich natural deposit of oil, making it the third largest producer of oil in Southeast Asia. Brunei is a unitary Islamic absolute monarchy, being ruled by Sultan Hassan al-Bolkiah. Born on July 15, 1946, he's been on the throne ever since October of 1967. Their capital city is Bandar Seri Begawan, their official language is Malay, and for their currency they use the Brunei dollar. And tomorrow we'll be heading to the bottom of Turkey for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss day 33. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 33. And today we're headed to the Middle Eastern Asian island nation of Cyprus. It is the 33rd smallest country in the world with 3,572 square miles or 9,250 square kilometers. It has a population of about 950,000 people, and it is among some of the most disputed land in all of the Mediterranean region. Once being part of Egypt, the Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire, and the Ottoman Empire, Cyprus remains to this day partially controlled by an outside power, being internally divided into regions ruled by Greek Cypriots and Turkish Cypriots. Cyprus is a unitary presidential republic, being led by President Nikos Christodoulides. Born on December 6, 1973, he's been in office ever since February of 2023. Their capital city is Nicosia, their official languages are Greek and Turkish, and for their currency they use the euro. And tomorrow we'll be heading 100 miles east for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss day 34. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 34. And today we're headed to the coastal Asian nation of Lebanon. It is the 34th smallest country in the world with 4,040 square miles or 10,455 square kilometers. It has a population of about 5.3 million people, and it is home to one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world. Byblos has been continuously inhabited since 5000 BC, and it is also the birthplace of the world's first alphabet, which was the Phoenician alphabet established in 1800 BC. The name, which was later derived from the first two letters of the Greek alphabet, which are Alpha and Beta. Lebanon is a parliamentary democracy, being led by former President Michel Aoun. Born on September 30th, 1933, he's been in office ever since October of 2016 to October 2022. Their capital city is Beirut, their official languages are Arabic and French, and for their currency they use the Lebanese pound. And tomorrow we'll be heading to the North Caribbean Sea for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss day 35. Talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 35. And today we're headed to the North Caribbean, North American island nation of Jamaica. It is the 35th smallest country in the world with 4,244 square miles or 10,990 square kilometers. It has a population of about 2.8 million people, and it is the birthplace of the fastest man in history, which is Usain Bolt. Born on August 21st, 1986, he set the all-time world record for the 100-meter run in 2009, coming in just 9 seconds. It was also the birthplace of Bob Marley, may he rest in peace, who popularized reggae music, which was also created in Jamaica. Jamaica is a unitary parliamentary constitutional monarchy, being ruled by King Charles III of England. Their capital city is Kingston, their official language is English, and for their currency they use the Jamaican dollar. And tomorrow we'll be heading to the River Gambia for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss day 36. Talking talking about countries every day for 195 days, but every day the country gets bigger. Day 36! And today we're headed to the split-up riverside African nation of the Gambia. It is the 36th smallest country in the world, with 4,400 square miles, or 11,300 square kilometers. It has a population of about 2.3 million people, and it is home to one of the most biodiverse rivers in all of Western Africa. The River Gambia, which covers over 700 miles, is home to over 80 different mammal species, about 150 species of fish, 1,500 different plant species, and over 550 different species of birds. The Gambia is a unitary presidential republic, being led by President Adama Barrow. Born on February 15th, 1965, he's been in office ever since January of 2017. Their capital city is Banjul, their official language is English, and for the currency they use the Gambian Dalasi. And tomorrow we'll be heading to the Arabian Peninsula for our next country, so subscribe so you don't miss Day 37.